Hi everyone, this is Kelly and I'm here to do a look at this Oracle deck by Rockpool Publishing called The Magic of You Oracle, Unlock Your Hidden Truths. It is by Fiona Horn and the artwork is by Marcella Bodivar, I believe. I'll look on the book. I know it's in the back of the book where I can read it a little bit better. Now, this is a small oracle. There's only 36 cards. It says on the back, the magic of you oracle is what you turn to when you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel and must crawl through and light it yourself. I love that. Each oracle card is a unique key that unlocks a door to your hidden truths, and behind each door lies a message to light your way and guide you on your path. Light the fires of resilience, recover, and rebirth in your life. Now, my deck box is a little bit squished down the middle, but I will say this. I found this at my local Barnes & Nobles, and it was open at my local Barnes & Nobles, and my guess, I don't know if I don't know what they did, because this is a pretty sturdy box. It's that beautiful matte feel to it, but I didn't care. It was the only one that was there. And what happened was I picked it up and I opened it because, hey, it was unwrapped and I'm going to look at it. So I opened it, and right on the top of the deck was a crow, which I'll show you in a minute. Which is, of course, because they were mixed up. Somebody had obviously opened it and looked through them because they were out of order, and the crow was right on the top. So right off the bat, that's a big thing for me. As you know, if you've watched my channel, that's a huge deal. I would not have even probably looked at this deck, to be honest, if it weren't for the fact that it was open, like it had been unwrapped from the plastic. And I thought, oh, I'll just take a look at it. I want to just see. There's a motorcycle going to just sit out there and rev their engine. Sorry. Just because, and again, nothing against it. The reason that I looked was two. One, it was open so I could look at the cards. Two, it's by Rockpool Publishing, and I have to say, they have been knocking decks for me. I have been out of the park of late, so I would probably now at least take a look to see what it was, especially because it was open. But even when I first saw the first image, I was like, and I tell you the other reason is because it looked to me when I saw it that it was going to be all female deck, beautiful, artistic, all female deck, and probably photo manipulation. And those just aren't things that I tend to gravitate towards. There's nothing wrong with them. Some people love them. It's just not something that says take me off the shelf and buy me. But it was open, so I thought, all right, you're open. I'm gonna take a look at the cards. I'm curious. I'm always curious about cards. And then the crow was on the top. So then I was like, all right, okay. Now I'm paying more attention, right? Instead of just casually, I'm gonna look at cards. And I'm going to tell you that I had a similar experience, not quite as intense, I will say, but a similar experience as when I first held the Weaver's Oracle. There was something there. There was a zing. There was more than one. I mean, there's lots of decks that I absolutely love and I get so excited about. So this is something different. The only other time I remember having this exact feeling was with the Weaver's Oracle, and that has paid off in spades, right? And I knew exactly what the reading was going to be, what I was going to do with it. It was going to anchor reading that I was already doing. This I felt like was going to be something similar. I was thinking maybe a similar thing with this as an anchor and the web of either my journey tokens. Since I've been home and looked at it closer and used it, it's charm casting, but I just had that feeling, and I was like, Kelly, this isn't, this is not your normal jam. But I thought, all right, I got a coupon. That's why I was in there. I'll get it. We're going to come back to this in a minute. Let me just pull everything out here. You can see that it has a key on the back. As it said, each one of and you can see I've already edged it because I've already used it, right? It's got a key on the back. I like the backing. It's like a whole bunch of keys like piled in there, which I really like. So I enjoy the back of it. And we'll look at the front. It is what I thought, you know, it is, looks to me, and when I've read about the artist, it is photo manipulation. We'll see as we go through it. So there are some that don't have people, and there are a couple male figures in it. I haven't gone through to see, but there actually are some that don't have figures in it, and there are male figures as well. So we'll make piles and see how that is. So I was pleasantly surprised by that, but it does feel like it's predominantly female forms. It doesn't matter. What, I don't know why I'm putting it back in here. What this deck feels to me like is somewhat unsettled. Oh, the other reason why is because when I did look through the cards, at first I was like, Kelly, you don't really like photo manipulation. You don't like really kind of artsy looking, like fashiony women things. It's just not really my thing. And then there are a couple where there are heads that are like, you know, bird cage. Not a bird cage, that's another deck, but similar to that. Like there are missing heads or just like surreal art to them. And that, I've gotten a couple decks like that and they just haven't worked for me. So I'm like, this is just really kind of ticking a lot of boxes of things that you wouldn't like. But there was a unsettling at the pit of my stomach in a good way. And then there was that zing. And then as I was looking through them, what I had, my strongest impression was that this feels like the liminal space at the edge of the forest, right? It feels to me, it's not, there's no fairies in here. Well, I say that, but I haven't gone through them one by one. I haven't come across any fairies, but it feels fae. Because, you know, I don't think of fairies, very few fairies that might have or not have wings have nothing to do with it. Little Pretty Fairies and Wings are a Victorian era concept of the fae. My concept of the fae are far more like Brian Froud, which does have wings, some of them, right? As well as Terror of the Hidden Realm. So the only two, you know, real strongly for me resonate. This feels like the liminal space between the human world and the fae world. It's crossed in the boundary area where things can get a little mixed up. There's definitely uncomfortable feelings of uncomfortable in some of the images. And yeah, so I had to get it. I was like, okay, there's something strongly compelling about this, and it feels very fae. There's not many decks that feel very fae. Again, not so much in the look of the, you know, people, but just the energy. It felt very liminal space, very fae, very almost overlapping of human and fae. Borderlands, the borderlands, right? That's what it feels like. So I picked it up. So I got home and I had been listening to the soundtrack while I was driving in the car. I had been listening to the soundtrack for The Greatest Showman, because, you know, who doesn't love that? And one of the songs came on, and I put an Instagram post about it up, but one of the songs came on, and it triggered some shadow space, right? And so I was listening to it, and I was kind of thinking through some shadowy things, and I was shuffling it just while I was waiting for the rest of the song to finish, and I was kind of listening to it, and I was shuffling while I was sitting in the car, because who doesn't do that when they have a new deck? And the card that I pulled was just spot on, just so relevant. And I came upstairs because the song was done. I was done. I was like, whoa. Came right upstairs, grabbed some charms. Because I've been using charms. A friend of mine had sent me a few new charms. I found a bear charm. Another friend has sent me a coffin charm. So I've been, you know, they've been kind of right out and about, and I've been grabbing them recently because they kind of gotten some revigorized, the energy has been amped up here, right? So I just grabbed a handful. Well, what I normally do if I'm not dumping them all, this is going to be loud, so turn your things down. But I kind of just dig around, really kind of get in and twist it and dig it, then just grab whatever's in my hand and cast it on the card, which is what I did. And it was such a powerful combination of what was thrown down, how they landed with the card itself. It was so energetically spot on and powerful feeling for me in the moment. I was like, okay, well, you made the right decision to purchase the deck, regardless of what even happens. Like, if that's the only reading that I ever get out of this deck, for me, it was well worth the, I don't know what I ended up paying, because I think it was like about $20, but then with the 10 and the 10, so, you know, under $20. That's, you know, that's the cost of a quick reading somewhere, right? Very quick reading. And so if that's all I get out of it, that was worth it. Like, that one single reading was worth the price of the deck for me. And so yeah. So then I started looking at it, and one of the things that I was actually disappointed about was that it had what looked like made up names. Like, it looked like they were, you know, names of, let me grab the first one. Well, even this first one, Avenoir. And Buho, I'm not sure how you pronounce that particularly. Some were like DETOX, things like, I don't want to go through them all and spoil it, but there were some English words, some, you know, and then there were words that I just thought they were making up names of the person on it. Like, this person is Avenoir, like it was naming the female figures or figures on the cards. That's what it kind of looked like. And I was kind of like, oh, that's disappointing. It's not bad. There's decks like that. Like, they're just named feminine energies or whatever. It's like, but it was just like, you know, I don't really like that. I started to look them up, and come to find out, they're just different words in different languages, such as this first. Now, I will say that, I gotta go turn my phone off, I heard it out there. A couple of them, like this, the first one is actually made up, so to speak, from a website called, I can't even read my hand, Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, and it means the desire for memory to flow backwards. And she does talk about that here. It just doesn't list in here where the word came from. I do wish that that would have been the case. Like, most of all of these, the name is, or the meaning of the word is referenced in here. I do wish it had just said, I know I have to go, I'm going to do it, I just don't want to lose my thought. I wish it just would say, Buho, right? The Spanish word for owl, da 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 da, because then, you know, you would include in that that wasn't just a made up word, but that was what that was. And so there are different languages. There's Hebrew, there's Greek, there's Turkish, so then some of them are English, but they were all actual words and or made up words that are, you know, have some traction, or a couple that were like urban slang, but they do mean something. They're not just random words. So that was like, okay, well, that's pretty cool. I do like that. I know this is like a huge, we're at 13 minutes. Somebody's gonna put that in the comments and say, we're at 13 minutes and we haven't even looked at the cards. Sorry, this is more of an experience. I'll try to label it somehow like that. Like, this is a little bit more of what was in my mindset when I was thinking about this, or I even picked this deck up, because it's not me and I've had a pretty powerful experience with it. So that's what we're doing, folks. I will try to label it and link when the actual walkthrough starts. But I'm actually pretty much done. So let's zoom in on the guidebook after I go unding my phone. Okay, so let's zoom in. Again, box is really nice. Mine is dented in a bit, but that I bought it like that because I didn't want to. I literally, this is my deck. Like, when I opened it and I had that experience, I'm like, okay, I'm taking it regardless. It's got a nice matte, silky matte feel. It's beautiful greens. Again, the inside has green also. Get that out of the way. So it has a booklet here. I mean, I feel like Rockpool does really great jobs with their booklets. I'll come back to those in a minute. It's a hunter. Oh my gosh, I brought it over here and then I didn't turn the thing off. It's 100 pages long, so it's not super long. It does talk about the creator of the deck, who is Australian born, apparently was a lead singer of a chart-topping 90s electro rock band. That's pretty cool. And she's apparently written some books on modern witchcraft and some various other things. She currently is a commercial pilot and donates her time and flying skills to humanitarian aid and animal rescue. That's pretty awesome. She seems like she has been very busy. We have the illustrator, who is a digital artist who specializes in photo montage techniques. That's a good name. I never know what to call it. All of her compositions are based in photographs that undergo a complex process of transformation, assembling and detailing, bringing them closer to a pictorial expression, which I will definitely say. I mean, these are not just like slapped together collage things or anything like that. Like, I mean, these are beautifully done. It's just, you know, not a particular style I tend to lean towards. So it talks about them. It does go into... it is a viewing glass for the bigger picture in life. For those times when you can't see the wood for the trees and need perspective. The deck is designed to offer clarity and confirmation and may sometimes appear the opposite of what you are thinking and feeling for good reason. She does talk about doing a 1 card, like a daily or weekly card, a 2 card, draw and place and phase. And the first card is clarity for the question, and the second card is a challenge that you need to maybe dig deeper on, and then a third past, present, and future type card there, as well as talking about a 9 card, which I never do with Oracle cards for the most part. However, it does, especially with the 36 card. All I do it with Lenormand, which is 36 cards. But she does talk about them being like core events, the way things are going to turn out now. So in more of a line kind of aspect. And I like how she talks about, because these are surrealistic and paintings, to kind of relax your eyes and just let your eyes move through the flow of color and things like that. So I did really like the idea of that. And then she also talks about using it to assist in another reading, to pull a card for clarity, or, you know, at the end of a reading. So then it goes in, and yes, I've written on my book because that's what I do. There is a little thumbnail of the color image. What we see on the card itself in terms of it's number 1, it's Avenir, and it is make peace with your past. And then we have information about the card, and then we get a ritual, because this is based in craft. So I'm going to read this first one so that you can get a feel for how the guidebook sounds. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that, but let's... The rower sitting in her boat, and the meaning of Avenir is the desire for memory to flow backwards. The rower sitting in her boat can only see from where she has come as she surges forward. When Avenir presents, it is time to gain perspective and an understanding of the role your past has played in the direction you are heading today. Are you able to appreciate the beauty of where you have come from and let that guide you into the future, or are you focused on problems, mistakes, and disappointments, letting them forge your direction? As you strike out in the pursuit of more, Avenir reminds you to contemplate that more will never be meaningful and fulfilling until you truly embrace and unconditionally appreciate where you have come from in all its purifying pain and gentle glory. Avenir is a healing card. It's time to make peace with your past. The girl in Avenir emerges from her journey along a dark, stormy sea, her hair still bearing the waves as she rode, as she was guided into this moment by her past. She trusts her gut. The tree of her life grows from her core experiences. We can see it actually growing inside her when I zoom in on the card. Radiant and brave, she confidently faces an unknown future by anchoring herself in the present moment. In doing so, she embraces her life's journey without judgment. She does not regret the past, nor fear its weight or legacy. She has learned to see it for what it is, essential for her growth. As you face your challenges today, embrace your past. Climb high, be brave and bold. Unconditionally, the past lifts you up. The tree of life is yours to climb. Trust it. So then there's a ritual on each, and so this is talking about on the new moon, writing down 3 memories that you love and that celebrate your unique life on a piece of paper. Fold the paper 3 times and plant it beneath a beautiful, strong tree. And then every day leading up to the full moon, go to the tree, trace your name in the dirt at the base of the tree. Its life force will grow your unique future in the world of potential, fueled by the energy of your best experiences. And so on and so forth throughout them. They each have some kind of ritual that you can do and enact or do a craft in some ways. Do a craft, not craft as in scrapbooking, but craft as in the practice of spell making or something along that lines. So yeah, there we have that. Although I will say I do think that the keywords underneath do, so far that I've seen, do a pretty good job of kind of heading you in the right direction. Of course, again, I used, I don't have it with me. I think it's in my room. It was a La Plume. It was one of these La Plume. I think these are dye-based. I can't remember. These are not water ones, but they have a brush like Tombo's, and that's, I had to go around it twice, but that's what I ended up using because I had that there. And the back has, I wanted greens because it does, even though it's not necessarily a foresty deck, it makes me feel like I'm on the liminal space of the forest. So, and if in person, I don't think it's that, it doesn't look like it might be showing up, but there's actually a lot of green in there, which makes sense being that the whole box is green and stuff as well. Okay, so let me zoom in. Again, very kind of surrealistic art, which is beautiful. I've just never really found it that effective for me with Oracle decks, but you know, maybe this is going to change my mind. So you can actually see that there seems to be a boat in the sand inside of her. We've got her tree of her life growing up here. Make peace with your past, the things that have grown you into who you are. Here we have the boo-ho. I'm sure that's not the correct way to say that. I did look them all up, but I did not look up all of the pronunciations, or I don't remember them all. Transform the way that you see, and so it means owl. And so she talks about, I think she talks about the, maybe it's a different one that talks about the owl. I think those to me look like, almost like, they are, yes, like moth wings. That's what I was thinking. They look like moth wings, but it also looks like an owl, which is what the name is. I found all of the names, when I found their translations, they clearly were associated with the card itself. So this was definitely about transforming the way you see things, paying attention, not getting distracted, really observing the world around you, which does tie, in my opinion, very closely with owl. Here we have DETOX. See, like they look like they're laying in a painting, but the painting is obviously kind of 3D. My guess is, and I can't, obviously I don't know this, my guess is this was a body of art that the maker of the deck chose from and made cards from. That would be my guess. But, you know, I don't know that. This talks about actually social media, electronics, mind-altering substances, food, all these types of things that you need to sort of rest and let all of those things kind of clear out of your senses. And so she's supposed to be resting. Yeah, we're having some pretty crazy dreams. Here we have doable. The key is within your grasp. So we have, you're just about ready to grab the arm, just about ready to grab that key there. Now, so far we've had all women. This one, you know, you can't really see the person behind the glass, so I'm going to put that in the neutral category. Here we have effervescence, cultivating love. Love is budding, blooming, and blossoming around you. The energy of new love helps all things grow. See, like, she's definitely in a garden, and we can see buds that are actually growing up and kind of out of her or out of her clothes. It's almost like they might be growing out of her back or something like that. Again, it's very surrealistic art, but you can see right here, like, she's almost being turned in. See, her dress looks like the flower petals, and you can see the stem here. So she herself is literally budding. You have the white purity, a fresh new love, these types of things. Here we have an epiphany. Excuse me. Reveal your gifts. She is almost like she's in the forest, and it almost looks like she has honey that's coming out of her. But it's talking about hidden gifts that are literally bubbling up and out of you. Again, to me, that's kind of uncomfortable. Like it's an uncomfortable image. But I think that it certainly makes sense. Reveal the gold that is within you. So here's one of those with the heads. You know, it's just, I'm not a fan of these, but this kind of reminds me of the book called Girl with All the Gifts, where, well, I'm not going to give it away, but there's a certain stage of which this looks reminiscent of that. That book or movie. I do like the movie. I like the book the best, but I do like the movie. And this is Epic, a pause in your journey. When Epic is drawn, it may feel like life has been split down the middle. The corresponding card in traditional tarot decks is the Tower. This can be traumatizing, it can be painful, but all meaningful change comes after a time of great destruction. And you can see this like trumpet flower growing out of it. So there is this destructive nature, but at the same time something new is actually growing. I don't really see this so much as a pause. Like, I don't think of this as, especially even when you read it, but you know, it feels more like that splitting asunder. I think I might have come up with something other than pause, such as like meaningful destruction or something like that. The man of Epic is torn asunder, but the flowers of inspiration are slowly blooming around him and within him as he pauses in his journey. He's just hanging out while everything's splitting open and plants are growing out of him. Maybe I'm just not a surreal art person, but again, energetically, this deck really speaks to me. So, you know, what am I going to do? Eunoia, again, I'm sure I'm slaughtering how to say that. This is actually a Greek word that, from what I could see, meant a condition of receptivity. And it says everything is in perfect balance. It talks about how the way that her thought being I'm trying to read this because I read somewhere. Here we go. The moon halo around her head signifies a healthy mind, emotionally balanced and rational in all its highs and lows. And it even talks about, I think when I was reading the meaning of the word, this idea of the person connecting correctly to the audience or the energy, and it's that way that the condition is all being receptive and in balance. So it makes sense with what. With things being in perfect balance. We definitely have some thorns here. I love the clouds and the bird in her skin, which I think is really interesting. She does seem to talk about, like in the guidebook, she does mention the actual things we're seeing in the card, which I think with this kind of deck is important. It says her crown of thorns and leaves indicates that she understands through her journeys of pleasure and pain that she is ultimately free. Everything is in perfect balance. So there is pain, but there is also beauty, you know, with the roses and the thorns. And if those things are in balance, that's where freedom comes. Here we have Euphoria for honor yourself. Sometimes I feel like some of the words, like euphoria to me is this idea of like an ecstasy type thing. And so sometimes, like, I don't know that I see euphoria as honoring self. But it's talking about honoring, and it does talk about sensuality here, but that also honoring your physical self can, you know, that can be a way of that gaining that euphoria and gaining that sense of honoring your own self by eating better, not having toxic substances, doing workouts and these types of things. So I will say that there is sometimes for me a disconnect between the word chosen and the key phrase, or maybe it's the image, I'm not sure. But again, it always seems to work out really well with these keywords here at the bottom, or the statement at the bottom for me. Here we have Fergun. I thought for sure this was not going to be a word, but it's a Hebrew word. She doesn't mention it as a Hebrew word, but she's at the very beginning, it says the simple, unselfish joy that comes from knowing something good has happened to someone else. And that's being this mirror to somebody else's joy, to somebody else's healing, to somebody else's great experience. And I thought that was a wonderful word, and B, definitely goes really well with the images, so, or the image here. So I love that. Flashover, that was one I thought, okay, well, this is kind of just something stuck together. But no, that's a word, I think, that's an actual, like, a electrical short circuit that happens. And she does talk about how this friction and energy that builds up around the brain causes this, sometimes a short circuit, right? Sometimes that a moment of whoa, I found something here. You know, there's different ways you can go with that. But that is actually a word. I learned some things. Hex, be still and allow the enemy to reveal themselves. Now, I am not sure what's happening here. It's very, very dark, but it just looks sort of like plant life in some way. So let's see if it says what's going on here. If you sense resistance and are feeling frustrated or angry, don't succumb to feeling powerless. The Hex Maiden holds her head high, her demeanor calm. I do not see a maiden. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. Look at that. As soon as I read that, I could see it. I'm sorry. You guys were all probably saying, yes, Kelly, there's a head there. There's her neck. She's wearing like a mask. Oh, just ignore me. She's in contemplative repose. She's relaxed. She can best see and feel everything around her. Be alert. She does talk about certain cards that in conjunction, she talks a little about this in the beginning, that some cards, when they come in conjunction with each other, have a special meaning. So for example, if this card is drawn in conjunction with Ionia, then it's time to go into battle against ignorance and cruelty. Let's see if we can find Ionia. Yes. So if these two come to the forefront, it's about going into battle. And so there are, it makes note in the guidebook if there are cards that are connected in some way. Here we have liberation, free yourself. The girl of liberation was once seduced by the soft embrace of the swan, but now its deathly gaze signifies all life is gone. She's trapped by its snake-like coils. Free yourself. Something that seemed pleasant turned out to not be so much. So kind of getting yourself, taking your power back, sort of devil card, like it seems to me. Here we have Loveria. This was one I thought was probably made up, but it's an urban slang that is actually used, and it means being obsessed with love and or sex. So it is a focus and to degree of which is going to let love grow, but if you're not careful, it could turn into an obsession. So again, trying to find that some degree of balance. Maximus, how can you feed others when your own table is empty? It's an empty table. You've got to fill your own, take care of your own self, feed yourself so that you can go. It's like the airplane, you know, put your mask on first so that you can help other people put their masks on. Here we have Magick. This, I believe, was a Turkish word? Yeah. Turkish word for curiosity and having interest. Embrace oneness with the universe. It does talk about taking a deep breath, slowing down, considering there are simple, happy things around you, like stepping carefully, having curiosity of the world that is around you. Even though it's very small, we've got these really neat things and beautiful flowers here, and watch where you're putting your foot because there are so many different things to embrace, even the small. Here we have Minimus, commune with the source. It's about nature holding all of the answers. We have this figure of almost like Mother Earth or Gaia or even Father Earth that looks actually quite masculine to me. And I don't think this is the case, but it looks like somebody is hiking up here as well. Here we have Mosaic. Let chance play its creative role. Things might mix up. You know, mosaic is taking lots of broken pieces of something often and putting it together to make something beautiful. This was the card that I got that made it worth the rest of the deck. Feel loved and proud. And this was actually a word, all of them. Turkish one for affection, and this is about feeling loved and proud. Beautiful image with the bird here. I know there is a female form here, so I'll put it in that pile, but to me the center of this is about the bird itself. Oblivion, open up your arms. See, this is interesting because her arms are crossed and her head is down and she is kind of blinded by her hair. And it says, are you blind to the gifts around you? So it's about really opening yourself up to things. Don't get lost in oblivion. Open your arms. This was one of the ones I felt like showed like opulence, which just does look like opulence, but it doesn't to me go with its time to lead. Like I don't think of the word opulence, which to me would be about, you know, beautiful rich things, gold and, you know, velvet and things looking draped with opulence. But then it's about choosing your right battles and, you know, becoming a leader and on all that kind of thing. But then it's like ties it in with wearing your success. The opulence comes from leading. I feel like that's kind of trying to smash the image, work the image to mean something more than just opulence. I think with this actual image, there's a lot of things that could liminal space with the what almost looks like standing stones in the background and the stag horns and things like that. But so that one was to me a little bit problematic. Not that I can't use it, but it shows where sometimes I feel like I tend to be just going with the keywords because that tends to be, those seem to be on point. This was actually an Iroquois, which is a Native American tribe, word that means spiritual energy that's within this sort of the key spiritual energy that are in people and the environment. Honor your mystical and creative force. It makes a lot of sense. The snakes, the flowers, the almost like Venus fly traps as well. Panacea, which is a solution or like a you know, the remedy of something, I guess, would be a solution of something. Well, it even says there's a solution for every problem. That to me works really well with the term. I feel like those look feminine, but I'm still going to put it in kind of neutral territory. Paradisiacal or something. I don't know how you would it's connected with the word paradise. Paradisiacal. I thought it would be a fake word. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think it was a real word, but it is, and it means idyllic, something that resembles or seems like paradise. You belong to paradise. So again, word I learned. This one to me is really powerful. It's phenomenon. Be still and listen to the spirits. That gives me goosebumps in person. I do really love that word and the image and just the whole vibe of that. Protection. You can see all of her spikes and thorns are up, which is, you know, what thorns are for. It's about setting your boundaries, set personal boundaries. I really like this image as well. Resilience. Burn away the past. You can see that there are things on fire, but she's connected to the things that are on fire, these things around her. These could also be you know, roots and tree branches and things that are holding her down and needing to burn away those things so that she can rise up and be unblinded and move forward. Sacrifice. What can you let go of? Yeah, she's being really pulled down and tied down, but it's letting go of her actual life and, you know, whatever that current life is to go into the next, because you can see where her arm that's partially underground is now a skeleton. So it has a very death card, transformative, let go of certain things so that other things can grow. And you can even see the plants are all kind of taking over. I'm not sure how you would say this. Samadhi, something of that nature. This is a Hindu word, I believe. I believe it's from India. And I believe I passed it. Sacrifice, yes. It means intense concentration through meditation. It's about perfect acceptance, just becoming literally one with your surroundings. She's not distracted by either the thorns or the flowers or the pearls. She's just tranquil and deeply merged with the essence of oneness and acceptance. Samadhi teaches that when you give up being a perfectionist, life is suddenly perfect. Again, I don't know how much, I'm not a big fan usually of Oracle deck guidebooks. I feel like the image and the words should speak, and I do think perfect acceptance will say what it has to say in the moment. Serendipity, merge with the flow. I love that. She's just merging into the forest. Just the whole thing feels to me very liminal. Here we have solitude, alone but not lonely. Tangibility, make your dreams real. I like this because she does look like she's in a dreamscape, but then we do have a very real looking bird perched on her hand. Again, my assumption is that these were art images that they took and used for a deck, but if it works, it works. This was the one that I had when I first opened it up. This was the image that was there. Translucence, love the darkness. This feels very fey. We have sort of a half crow, half horse with a creature on its back. Like, that's probably where I first, because this was the first image that I saw. And of course it does feel very fey energy here. Very liminal, very boundary space, very edge of the other world feel to it. That I love, and I love the idea of loving the darkness, because there is healing in the darkness. Ubuntu, which I knew, and I'm probably saying that wrong. That's a South African word, I believe, and I did look it up. And it did talk about South Africa. Now, it may be in other places than just South Africa, but that's where I had a while back seen something about it, and that's what I saw when I just did a quick Google search. Again, just enough to get an idea if these words meant anything. And it means either just humanity or having humanity towards others, which is what compassion is. I think it's a beautiful image. Vertigo, a problem that I have. So again, I love this image of the key. Whatever you choose will be correct, but I feel like vertigo is a weird word to use there. So it's about choice. As you consider all the dizzying array of possibilities, a sensation of tilting, of things going off kilter, paralyzes you into inaction. What can you do? What should you do? Notice the key stands straight and true. Each one opens a door, leading to opportunities of lesson. So whatever you're going to do is right. Just grab a key and go for the next thing. And of course on the back is all kinds of choices of keys, right? Grab the one that's up front and ready to go and go for it. And then this is a beautiful witch card. I actually really like witch cards in decks because for me it just means it's just about go about the business of your craft, right? Go about the business. Just be the power, be the craft. Like that's to me what that word means. It's more of an action or a state of being. It's about being the magic. It's about being the craft. It's about just doing, and there not being the separation between things. And it says the magic you seek is inside of you, let it flow. But image wise, I mean, that's just beautiful. And that's the final card. And I think it does talk about how which is the most powerful card. It's the lucky card. When this card is drawn, a bonus appears in your life and key events and situations turn to your favor. So this kind of acts like a good... There are a couple things in this guidebook that does have that feeling of cartomancy a little bit, wherein like different cards that are going to be more powerful if they are together. Idea of one of the cards being a lucky card. I haven't read all of the entries yet to see what other kinds of things like that. But there is, for an oracle deck, it feels like this is somebody who has worked a little bit with cartomancy or even runes or something like that, where certain other cards or certain other figures, when they come together, have a special meaning, or it can kind of influence each other in some way. So as you can see, it is primarily what I thought in terms of female images, like beautiful female images. Most of the deck is that. There are a few male images for there, and then there are a few that are either or both in the terms of the Lover's card, where you have a male and a female. So you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of the 36 are either male or other, but you know, the bulk of the deck is female figures. So again, not always my favorite in terms of oracles, but for me this is really a lot less than some things about, in fact, they do reference them as her because the image is her, but none of the energies feel like predominantly this is about either being female or not female, or male, female or male, or in between. It doesn't really seem to be as relevant. And again, I just think sometimes, for whatever reasons, things just work. Now, this type of deck, I don't see myself pulling tons of cards of. I could see maybe pulling 2, like in my 3 voices readings. I might have sort of something to let go of. so that the key is almost in your grasp maybe right now to let go of that opportunity because something else is coming. What to hold on to is time to kind of it's time to lead. Again, I'm kind of going with the main keywords here more so than not the main keyword, the secondary phrase more than the keywords or the image itself. And she does talk about that, like don't let the keywords or the title pin you down, like roll with what these are. Does feel very, very intuitive, right? So I could see doing something like that in a reading or by itself. But my intention at the moment, because I've had such a powerful experience with that, is to pick a card depending on the situation, right? So reveal your gifts and then use, because I mean, I guess it's because of the back with the key. It just feels more modern, I think, to me than runes and things of that nature. So my intention is to sit with this idea of an epiphany, thinking about revealing gifts, letting the gold come from within, grabbing whatever comes out, right? Shaking those up and casting, and then doing a reading with those charms. I mean, look at that. Visually, it's extremely powerful to me with the charms. And again, the actual readings that I've done have also been really strong. And I will say that the dragon, which for me has been very strong ancestor energy, since I don't, it just works for me that way. It keeps showing up with this deck. I did the first one, it showed up literally smack in the middle. I did a couple other smaller ones, and I shake them, move them. I don't look, grab, and ancestry has come up a lot here. So it just feels very, again, liminal space, boundary space. There is a Fae energy to me. Not that the cards are Fae necessarily, but there is a Fae energy about this, that it speaks to being in the borderlands in some way. And so we'll see where it goes from there. But right now, this is my intention of how to use this deck. And I will check back with you about it, but I wanted to show it because again, this wouldn't necessarily be the kind of deck that I would pick out, and yet I had a really powerful experience with it. So it's just sort of that other lesson that shows that, sometimes going outside of what our comfort zone is or what we've decided is our type of deck or our things or something of that nature can maybe stop us from having an interesting experience and learning something from a deck that you would maybe not have tried. So that's just my experience. I thought I would share that here so you could take a look at this and see what you think. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.